Jai Hind. The topic which we are going to cover today in our subject mobile computing is location management and channel allocation. So location management, basically that is your handover concept. So in the cellular system, it requires handover procedures, as we have already seen in the case of the GSM architecture. As single cells do not cover the whole service area, and the users, they are in the mobility, so they are frequently changing their service area. So however, a handover should not cause a cutoff, that is, we should maintain the quality of service, that is, call drops should not be entertained. So GSM aims at maximum handover duration of 60 milliseconds. So there are two basic reasons for handover, why we are going for the handover. The mobile station moves out of the range of a BTS, and it leads to the decrease in the received signal level, increasing the error rate, thereby diminishing the quality of the radio link. So in this case, the user, it need to be shifted to another BTS. Or another reason is handover may be due to load balancing, when an MSC or BSC decides the traffic is too high in one cell and shifts some mobile stations to other cells with a lower load. So we are having four scenarios of handover. In this case, the handover is within the same BTS. Here we are having the handover from BTS to BTS. Here the handover is from BSC to BSC, and here we are having the handover when there is a change in from MSC to MSC. So on the basis of this, the very first, that is one point, is known as intra-cell handover. It is within a cell. Why it is happening? Due to the narrowband interference could make transmission at a certain frequency impossible. So the BSC could then decide to change the carrier frequency, that is within the same BSC. We are not changing the BSC, but on the frequency range at which we are operating, due to some reasons, we are no longer able to operate on that particular frequency. Then the BSC decides to allocate us another frequency channel. What is intercell or intra-BSC handover? That is your mobile set. It is moving from this particular cell to this particular cell. So it is my intercell but intra-BSC handover. So this is a typical handover scenario. The mobile station moves from one cell to another but stays within the control of the same BSC. The BSC, because under a single BSC, we might have several BTS. So the BSC then performs a handover, assigns a new radio channel in the new cell and releases the old one. Now we are going to discuss the scenario 3 and scenario 4. So in scenario 3, what is happening? It is inter-BSC, intra-MSC handover. As a BSC only controls a limited number of cells, GSM also has to perform handovers between the cells controlled by different BSC. So this handover has to be controlled by MSC. And the last scenario is my inter-MSC handover. It says a handover could be required between two cells belonging to different MSC. Now both the MSC, they are engaged in doing the handover activity. That is my scenario 4. So what we have learned so far in the location management, here my cell is within this particular, within the same cell, and my BTS is same. But due to some reason, we are just only changing the channels or the frequency. Here the user is moving from this cell to this cell, but in this case, both these cells, they are controlled by the same BSC, but they are having the different BTS. So here BSC got involved and it do the handover for the user. Now in this scenario, what is happening? My user from this cell is moving to this cell, and if you look at the figure, these two cells, they are having different BSC. So now in this case, we need to make allocate, the user need to be allocated by the frequency range or the channels from this BSC. Earlier it is connected with this BSC, but now it need to be connected to this particular BSC. So this is my third case. In fourth case, what is happening? Here my user, and it is moving to this particular cell. Now what is happening? If you look at the figure, we are having these two cells, they are having different MSCs. So in this case, again the handover is required. And in this case, who are responsible for my handover activity? My old MSc and my new MSc. So to provide all the necessary information for a handover due to weak link, MS and BTS, they both perform periodic measurements of the downlink and uplink quality respectively. Measurement reports are sent by the mobile set about every half second in my GSM network and contain the quality of the current link used for transmission as well as the quality of certain channels in the neighboring cells. That is, and here we have already seen what is the meaning of BCCH. So with the help of it is continuously monitoring not only its quality but also the signals which it is receiving from its neighboring cells. And on the basis of that particular report, the decision is being taken whether the handover is required or not. This is a simple handover decision, intra-MSc handover diagram. If you look at the figure, this is my BTS old and this is my BTS new. Here my mobile set is there. This is old BTS. It is connected to my old BSc and it is my MSc. Now we are moving from old BSc to the new BSc. That is, we are discussing the third case and we are having the new BTS. Now what is happening? Mobile set, first it is sending the measurement report to the BTS old and it will again forward it to BSc. Here the BSc, it will take the HO decision, that is my handover decision. Now it comes out to be that the handover is required. Now this BSc old will send the request for the handover to the MSc. Now the MSc, it will inform the new BSc that there is a handover request. Now this new BSc, it will do all the resource allocation. After allocating the resource, it will activate a channel corresponding to the new BTS with which it wants to associate the MS. After it sends the request for the channel allocation activation to the BTS new, it will send the acknowledgement. Now again this acknowledgement in the form of a HO request acknowledgement, it goes to MSc. Now this MSc, after receiving this handover acknowledgement, that is all the necessary part. Now what this acknowledgement tell? It says that all the necessary part or the processing has been handled by the BSc new. Once it receives this, it will give a handover command to the BSc old. Now BSc old inform this BTS old and this BTS old will inform this information to MS. Now the MS will connect to the BTS new. Uplink and downlink channel would be allocated. After when all the things being done, now my BTS new, what it will it will send a command, that is handover has been completed. This information need to be sent to the BTS. Why this? Because it need to clear the resources which it has earlier allocated to the MS. So here it will send the handover complete message to the new BSc. It will send to the MSc. After receiving this handover complete command, what the MSc do? It will send the clear command, that is release the resources to the BSc. BSc will forward this command to BTS. Now BTS will clear the resources and in turn it will send the acknowledgement also in the form of a clear complete message, and this message is being delivered to the MSc, and in this way your handover process got completed. Now the next important topic is channel allocation. So what is a channel allocation? A given radio spectrum is to be divided into a set of disjointed channels that can be used simultaneously while minimizing the interference in adjacent channel by allocating the channels appropriately. Now the channel allocation schemes, it is generally of three types: FCA, DCA and HCA. FCA, it corresponds to my fixed channel allocation scheme. DCA, it corresponds to dynamic channel allocation scheme, and HCA, it is the combination of both FCA and DCA. So what is FCA? In FCA schemes, a set of channels is permanently allocated to each cell. That is, we have already pre-decided that which cell get how many number of channels. FCA requires manual frequency planning in this case, which is a difficult task in TDMA and FDMA based systems, since such systems are highly sensitive to co-channel interference from nearby cells that are reusing the same channel. Another drawback with the TDMA and FDS systems with the FCA is that the number of channels in the cell, they becomes constant. Irrespective if my load is changing, then it is very difficult to handle an increased load. This result in the traffic congestion and some calls being lost when the traffic gets heavy in some cells and whereas it is idle in other cells. So FCA schemes, they are often not able to maintain high quality of service and capacity, and one approach is to borrow the free channels from the neighboring cells, and it lead to a scheme which is known by the name simple borrowing or CB scheme. So in CB schemes, we are having two cells, one is acceptor cell and another one is a donor cell. So who is an acceptor cell? That has used all its nominal channels and it wants to borrow the free channel from its neighbor cell, and that neighbor cell, it becomes a donor cell. Borrowing can be done from an adjacent cell which has the largest number of free channels. Select the first free channel found for borrowing using a search algorithm. This is another scheme, that is a borrow first available scheme. Return the borrowed channel when the channel becomes free in the cell. And it is a basic algorithm with reassignment, that is what you have borrowed, you need to return it back. To be available for borrowing, the channel must not interfere with the existing calls, and it leads to and that is the complexity of this particular scheme. So here we are having a donor cell for sector X, that is 1 and 2, and a cell initiates in the sector X of the cell 3 can borrow a channel from the adjacent cells 1 or 2. What is DCA? That is the dynamic channel allocation. All channels are capped in a central pool and are assigned dynamically to new calls as they arrive in the system. After each call is completed, the channel is returned to the central pool, and it is a straightforward technique to select the most appropriate channel for any call based simply on current allocation and current traffic with the aim of minimizing the interference. DCA, it can overcome the problem of FCA, but the variations in DCA schemes center around the different cost functions which is associated or as used for selecting one of the candidate channels for assignment. And due to this, DCA can be centralized or distributed. In the case of the centralized DCA scheme, it involves a single controller selecting a channel for each cell, whereas in the case of the distributed DCA scheme, it involves a number of controllers scattered across the networks, and they can be my MSCs. In the case of the centralized DCA schemes, can theoretically provide the best performance. This is the comparison table between FCA and DCA. Here the performance, it performs better under heavy traffic, whereas it performs better under light or moderate traffic, because we are assigning the channels during the runtime. Here the low flexibility in channel assignment, where the flexible channel allocation is possible. Maximum channel reusability in this case, but not always maximum channel reusability, from moderate to maximum. High forced call termination probability, call dropping is high in the case of the FCA, whereas in the case of DCA, low to moderate forced call termination probability. It is suitable for large cell environment, whereas it is suitable for the microcellular environment. It is having low flexibility and it is having high flexibility. Radio equipment covers all the channels assigned to the cell. In the case of the DCA, radio equipment covers the temporary channel assigned to the cell. It is the independent channel control. It can be fully centralized to fully distributed scheme. FCA has the low computational effort, whereas in the case of the DCA, computation is high. Low call setup delay in FCA, because we are having in hand available with us and we are allocating the channel from it, and all all planning related to interference, related to reusability, frequency reusability has already been done. Whereas in the case of the DCA, when we are allocating a channel to a particular cell, at that time there is a delay due to making a decision that which particular frequency range to be allocated so as to minimize the interferences. Low implementation complexity, whereas it is having moderate to high complexity implementation complexity. Complex labor intensive frequency planning, because pre-planning need to be done. Here no pre-planning is required. Low signaling load in this case, whereas we need to exchange the quality of signals and all these control messages in the case of DCA scheme. So here we are having moderate to high signaling load. Here the centralized control, here we are having centralized to distributed control schemes, which we have seen earlier. So the other channel allocation scheme, that is my hybrid, it is a combination of two, that is HCA and DCA. So in HCA schemes, the total number of channels available for service is divided into two parts. One is fixed and dynamic, that is, and the fixed set contains a number of nominal channels that are assigned to cell as in FCA schemes. As in all the cases are to be preferred for use in their respective cells. The dynamic set is shared by all users in the system to increase the flexibility. For instance, if we are having 100 channels available with us, so we could say that we have reserved 60 as FCA and 40 channels for the DCA. Now these 60, for example, I am having a group, a cluster of 3 cells, then in that case I could allocate 20 channel each to my cell, and now whenever a call is made or whenever a channel is required for the communication, then first your system, it will allocate the channel from that from the subset of 20 channels. If that particular subset it becomes exhaustive, then we go for the DCA scheme. So when a call requires service from a cell and all of its nominal channels are busy, a channel from the DCA set is assigned to the call. Request for a channel from the dynamic set is initiated only when the cell has exhausted all its channels. So the optimal ratio, that is what the optimal ratio we keep, that is how many channel numbers we need to make reserve for the fixed scheme and how many for the DCA scheme. Then the general formula is 3:1, and it has been found that if we follow this particular ratio, and it provides better service than the fixed scheme for 50% traffic. Beyond 50% fixed scheme performs better, and for the dynamic with traffic load of 15 to 32%, better results are found with HCA. So we have basically discussed the handover, that is how we are managing how we do the location management in the case of the GSM network. Then we have seen that how we are allocating the channels basically in the GSM network. So this is all about for today. These are the references which I referred. Thank you and Jai.